All right.
All right, here we are back again after a short hiatus. We are not the same. What episode is this, Shaq? Episode 6?
Number 7.
Number 7. See, we're deep in it already, man. Yeah, man. Thank you guys for joining us. We are here with none other than Craig Hodges. The basketball community we all know who he is, man. We're talking about two-time NBA championship winner with the Chicago Bulls as a player, two-time NBA championship winner as a coach with the Lakers, and of course, one of only two players to win 3 consecutive NBA three-point contests alongside Larry Bird. So we're talking about one of the greatest shooters of all time right here with us right now. Craig Hodges, how you doing, brother?
No, I'm good, man. I appreciate the invite. And Shaq, your coach and I grew up together. So when you told me you want to talk, man, it's a blessing, man, to get a chance to chop it up with the brothers and, see what differences we can make within the next generation of not only player, but, just people in general, man.
I agree. He always actually had a funny story about your shooting, about how you would line the ball up. It was something about three rings around the hoop, and that actually always stuck with me for years. Even though I may not shoot the best at times, but right now, thinking the EuroLeague, my percentages could be better. But do you have any advice for, I guess, young shooters out there on technique?
Yeah, the biggest part for me when I think about shooting so much, when I watch people shoot, I look at the foundation part of it. What is your base? How do you go into your shot? Where's your ball? Is your ball ready to shoot? We were watching a portion of the Golden State game the other night, and me and Jabril were saying at the same time how Steph turned out on the shot and he caught the ball, and we were like, he's in ready to shoot position. And when we say ready to shoot position, is your ball, my wrist should be already in the cock position when my ball is in my hand, whether it's off the dribble or off the catch. And, so many times I ask young people, what are you looking at when you shoot? And, because if you're not steady on what you're looking at, oftentimes you're not going to be the percentage that you want. So when I think in terms of teaching it, it's 6 inches above the rim, 2 inches, visually 2 inches inside of the rim, lift that point up 6 inches. And I'm not looking at rim. I'm looking at that point in space where I want that ball to end up. And, so it's really 3 parts of your shot: foundation, form, follow through. And I tell people the game is played at a conversational pace. So when I'm working with young people, I want to hear you when you go into your foundation. I want to hear you say foundation, form, and follow through. And by the time you say follow through, your ball is coming through the net. And it's, it's repetition and practicing perfection, not just practicing. So we're not going in just to take shots. We're going in to make shots. And I think, the visualization is so much of it, and practice. So once you get into a game situation, your mental focus is basically the same. And you can't, I tell people all the time, nobody can put more pressure on you than you put on yourself. And especially as a shooter. So when I look at what Russell's going through right now, so much of it is fundamentals, man, and fundamentals that, we can get caught up into the game, and we can get wound up on an emotional level with the game, and we can forget, those fundamental habits. That's why perhaps the most, one of the most enjoyable times I had in basketball was when I was coaching with the Lakers, and I was their shooting coach, and I got a chance to work with Kobe, and Lord rest his soul, to be able to work with him and have played with Michael and to see the difference in how accepting Kobe was of coaching. Not to say Michael wasn't, but it was just a different mindset in as far as trying to perfect the way he shot the basketball, and he understood that I could help him get to a certain level that he wanted to get to where his shot was concerned.
Do you think that the current state of the NBA in terms of shooting, or just players in general, they're more accepting of coaching and wanting to get better, or is that something that's kind of like a lost art? Listening to the elders, listening to the pioneers that came before you.
And that's my thing, is that it's not. I don't know how much tie-in it is from the generation that I played in. You may have a younger generation that played behind me who are now coaches, or whether either, on the player development side or actually sitting on the bench. So for me, it's one of those things where old school never changes, man. And when I'm in the gym with young folks, and the wild part to me too is when I got with the Lakers to see how many players have their own individual person that they rely on for whatever it may be within the game. And for me, I laugh about it because We grew up playing on the school ground. We graduated from the school ground to the park. The park had the older brothers, my uncles, and them kind of guys who taught you the physicality of the game, how to play and move without the basketball, how to get better within playing, and not so much going to this individual person for ball handling, the individual person for weight and training. So there's a lot of different nuances in the game that I, to some degree, I think they're distractions because it has so many off ramps to where your concentration can go, as opposed to being, focused on building yourself to have a game. So when I'm going first, one of the first things I ask young folks, what's your game looking like? You ain't even got a game yet. So don't even come to me with it. So when I ask that question, I'm asking in a rhetorical sense that, Tex Winter, when I got to Long Beach State, first day of practice, he told us anything and everything that we ever learned about basketball, forget it. Because what you're getting ready to embark upon now is the way that basketball should be played. And it's from the bottom to the top, footwork to the basket, to shooting. So it's, it's the fundamentals, man. They never change. They can be commercialized, they can be gussied up, and where the game is now, to me, it's more one of, it's almost like they wanted to pair the game as close as they could to a video game.
Yeah.
See how much scoring we can get out of it. The more scoring we get, the more fans we can get. And regardless to the actual quality of play. And that's why sometimes it's hard for me to watch when I see, guys shooting 3-point shots, when I'm looking and I'm saying, man, you could be a lot more effective if you were in the paint.
Yeah, we're talking about the commercialization of the game, or, I guess the league kind of brought that on. And, just in general, how much money there is involved and how that affects how the game is being played.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk, switch gears and talk about, activism at some point as well. And so this was one of my points that I had planned out for our conversation. Yes. But since we're here now, speak to that a little bit. At what point do we say, you know what, we accept some of this, stuff? I think I saw an interview with you where you are making a reference to, players celebrating and in a way that brings other entities of culture into the mix. Like, for example, players, throwing up, certain types of hand gestures that may be associated with something or whatever, that all ties into, you now see that in video games, right? Mm-hmm. It's being commercialized. Things that aren't supposed to be commercialized. Not saying that they are good or bad, because these are things that just exist in culture. But the NBA taking advantage of such phenomena and just simply for the profit. How do you what's your opinion on these things?
Man, it's where we are today in this civilization is, and I'm blessed, man. I feel blessed to have had great upbringing. I was born in 1960, so I'm a baby of the movement. So I saw, and Eric as well, your coach Eric as well. We grew up in the same community. We saw live leadership. Our parents were leaders in front of us because they were actually the foot soldiers of many of the things that we take for granted today. It was actual people who did the footwork, who stood at, I can remember going to the lunch counter in my hometown and I couldn't get ice cream. We had to take our ice cream and leave while the little white kids were sitting there eating their ice cream. And my mother had to try to explain that to me. And then when I got to Long Beach State, having a chance to look back at it, to see, that there are certain things in this civilization that we have to look at and be critical of if they're about to be changed. And I think that's one of the things that we're experiencing now within Black America. I had a chance to, and when you talk about what you're talking about, much of it aligns itself to, the power structure that we live under. When we talk about, basketball, sports really being that last bastion of plantation politics, and the ownership can be the ownership has a certain private quality to it, so that, they can have a glass, they can have this insulation around them, whether it be Donald Sterling, whether it be Robert Sarver.
Sure.
An interesting thing to me with the whole Sarver thing was how when his job was going down, now they bring up our boy Udoka from the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting how these things can go down. But at the same time, brother, I think, we have to really look inside ourselves and see what is the choice that I will make. And as far as the stance that I would take, many times, like for me during my career, when I went to the White House and asked the president to consider our issues, of course, I didn't, I've studied history. I was a history major. I understand what happened with, Muhammad Ali, John Carlos, Tommy Smith. But at the same time, where we were in our civilization in the timeline, I didn't think it would affect my earning power for my career. And especially, to the point where even with my son that you spoke to, that, I felt that he had should have got an opportunity to get in somebody's training camp. Never happened, never materialized. But it's the realization of, if you're going to take a certain position, understand, especially with young folks now, I tell them, understand the position that you take. So when I was coaching high school ball, had young players want to take a knee because Colin was taking a knee. And I told them, that's not your position right now because you got a future. I want you to understand why. And if you take a knee later in life, why you're doing so, and that you understand the ramifications of what you're getting ready to do.
Yeah, I love that. I kind of want to zero in on this a little bit. Mm-hmm. What do you see is the difference in cultural critique from, back then to now? Because when you say something like, the stance that you took back then, and not thinking that it would have impacted you economically the way that it did, right? Do you think you would have taken that same stance? And especially because right after that, you said, it affected your son.
No doubt.
And then now you're seeing, high schoolers, basically mimicking because they have the same belief that Colin Kaepernick had.
Right.
And taking the knee.
And it's wild that, one of the things that some of the young brothers, when I was telling them not to, they said they came back at me, and it was cool because I understood that they're recognizing the conditions that they live under.
Right. What do you say? But what do you say to the younger crowd that wants to do something? They want to be active because I think a lot of these movements, regardless of what era you're looking at, right? It's fueled by the youth, right? The youth.
No question.
They have the heart. They have the. I almost want to say, and excuse me for maybe choosing the wrong word here, but they have the ignorance and not knowing what's going to come. Yeah, they are blessed and by just that sheer. I want to say aggression and just that bravery, that naive mindset that we need, that a movement needs in order to push the line as far as it needs to be pushed.
You think about it from an athletic level. When we 17, we don't know what's coming on. We don't know what's going on. We just going hard.
Exactly.
And that's the way I look at this generation. And when I look at the difference is social media, man. The social media platforms that you have today compared to what we had then, everything was connected to the mass media structures, whether it be Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Tribune, WGN, WLS. So within the context of where I was at, how was I going to tell my story? No one would listen to my story because it wasn't apropos to who paid for advertising, who paid for access to the locker room and the like. So when we're talking about the political part of sport, I think so much of it is just a finished product that people don't see it. But then when you have what's raising so much hate today within our community, I kind of chuckle about it because when I look at the truth of the matter, we never want to talk about that. We want to build a narrative that kind of points to it, but we don't want to get with it. So when I look at the distancing from Kanye, from Brother Ye that's going on, it's funny to me, but it's not a funny matter or a laughing matter because there are pertinent issues there. And whenever we address issues that are pertinent to our oppression, our suffering, they want to be scoffed at. It doesn't want to really be talked about. We want to bring up other narratives. We want to bring up other issues that really, once again, it really puts us on the back burner. So we want to hear it, but we don't really want to hear it because it's going to be a serious, critical conversation that is going to be uncomfortable for a whole lot of people. And the commercial part around the discussion, where for like me, this is where he and I connect.
You mean Kanye?
Yes, he and I don't wear Yeezys. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fashion magnet like that. He and I he from the Chi. That's my boy. because he's from the shop, for one. Number two, the position that he's taking now, they've ostracized him by taking away arenas for him to perform in. I have a problem with that. That happened to me. I got your back just on that, brother, from afar. If you hear this, and I was telling my sons, get me in touch with the brother just on the level, let him know that, man, I support your position that you take, because where we are today, everybody has a right for their position to be taken, whether I agree with it or not. Mm-hmm. No one should be able to take food out of your baby's mouth, out of your, regardless to how wealthy or how poor you are, you still have a right to speak your mind and not be ostracized for that by those who have the power to ostracize you. And that's what I tell people about racism. We can talk racism all we want to. We can talk about reverse racism where, oh, so-and-so is talking about white people in such a manner, but does it affect their bottom line? So if I'm talking about white people, I can talk about white people from the top of the moon or wherever I'm at, but do I have the ability to affect your earning? Do I have the ability to affect your next generation of earning? Do I have the ability to stifle your organizational growth? And when we talk about, like right now, the biggest part for me with young folks is, we have the social media platforms, but do we have the organizational infrastructure to truly make the difference? So when I'm looking at where we are right now, I'm telling all of us, we have to organize somehow, some way with those of like minds with us on a local level, because they want to spend our minds with the federal government, the international geopolitical game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's real. And we have to study it to know where we fit into that. But on a local level, you can see where you fit. Like where I said right now, we have a water problem in University Park. We're working to get at that, because if we ain't got water, man, what's happening? So when Kanye speaks of how we can't collect rainwater, I got a problem with the government where why can't we collect water coming out the sky and help people?
There's a man in Texas that went to jail for that, I believe.
And that's what I'm saying. So something, and like you say, and so how it's so insidious, man, that it touches so many parts of our civilization, whether it be water, whether it be entertainment, whether it be sports, whether it be what. And then what Kanye is bringing up is, who are the control factors in that realm? And can I speak to it forthrightly and it be not taken as I'm coming at y'all? And that's the part where I'd be like, man, it's funny how, when the brother was on the show, they were so happy for him to be there, but then you have to backtrack within 24 hours.
Referencing Drink Champs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a tough situation. I get it. Everybody got to eat, and I'm not trying to take nothing off nobody's plate. But at the same time, there has to be a certain point in time where it's not about me, it's not about us, it's about the next generation of us.
We started this conversation with NBA players or players in today's day and age having too many different avenues to focus on, meaning in terms of like improving and developing their game, right? There's a dribble coach, there's a shooting coach, there's this, there's that. I think that rings true for any and everything in life, right?
No doubt.
The evolution of times is just what it is.
Yes.
And so with all of this information that you're saying, what is the real information that we can focus on? What is the information that is misinformation that is distracting us from the actual topic? Who's discrediting who? And I think, when you talk about the Kanye situation, he has his opinions. There are people that disagree with him, people who don't. I do want to say that I think freedom of speech is a thing, but there's also, that doesn't absolve you from freedom of consequence as well, though.
No question.
I think if you're dealing with private entities, they privately can decide, we're not going to mess with you as a result of that. I think that's a problem. But I say all of this to get to this point here. As these times have evolved, but we saw back then, you mentioned, you're a civil rights baby. Back then we had bigger entities, political, the ABC boys, infiltrating the Black Panther movement, for example, with the COINTEL program, trying to knock them off their pivot, destabilize them so they can push their agenda moving forward. We see that today as well, just on many different areas. How do you propose we even, and not to say that you have the answer for it, but what do you think young people need to do in order to recognize that and bond together with a singular thought to then make, strides in the right direction?
One of the things that I look at, like your show right here, players choice. All right, how can we say the brothers with podcasts? How can we get together and have some type of conference that, to me, it's organization within our folks that is so needed and necessary. That's why we kill one another. That's why we've been or quasi kill one another, because we don't have the weapons. So the weapons are placed in certain areas in order for our ascension not to manifest. So when I think about, the point that you're making is that where we are, we have to organize, brother. And for me, it's an organization that we're working on right now. It's called Operation Unite. All right. And Operation Unite is just that how can we make sure that we fit together and know what each other's doing, so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel when we're talking about having, a conversation about basketball and politics. This should be one of this should be one of our stations that we tune in, just like we tune in to CNN or ESPN, for instance. You know what I'm saying? That, one of the conversations I have with my other son is that, we have enough within us now that those things that we see and we visualize, let's build on it to the point where our people know that this is an avenue that you can look at as an alternative. But the more we discuss our issues, the less we're concerned about where we just came from and that old garbage, that old paradigm. And I think that's one of the biggest things now with the advent of social media and the advent of just this thing that we coming across, this whole information age, brothers, that I was blessed. I was blessed to go to Long Beach State in 1978 and study under Dr. Maulana Karenga, founder of Kwanzaa.
Of course, the US organization.
Yeah, Amin Ra, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, bless his soul. So I had great brothers who taught me research method. And I think research method is so critical in your development as a human being. And I think that's what's been taken away when we talk about miseducation, undereducation, underfunding, and all of the like, is that so many times I was blessed at 18, and really I was blessed as a baby to feel the necessity to be a part of where we're going, of being a part of the answer about how we're going to fight this oppression from where we are in whatever mode of avenue it might be, whether it's going to be me hooping or whether it be me going back home and being a history teacher. I was going to have a method and mode that I chose. And that's the biggest thing, man. We have a choice in this thing, whether we be, and this is the wild part. I sit in Cook County. I'm just out of Cook County now, in Will County, the next county from Cook. But Cook County, Illinois is the largest population of Black people by county in America. All right. The murder capital, damn near the world. So when we talk about that Chirac shit, it's right here. Okay. Now the question becomes, okay, if that is one method when we talk about the madness, but the numbers are critical when we look at it like this. There are those who are in wisdom, know who we are and the power that we possess. So they study who we are, where a lot of times we get so caught into the rat race, we don't have time to study and research to say, you know what? We can use the same tools that they used. Okay, so now I'm gonna name three people: Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, and Barack Obama. None of them are Chicago born or bred. I call them carpetbaggers. You came to my city, you usurped on the energy of Black people, and we made you O. You didn't come here, Michael Jordan, as Air Jordan. We made you Air. And Barack, you came here as a state senator with run over shoes, and now you're a billionaire. All three of y'all billionaires from my hood. How? Why? Those who control numbers and do the mathematics. No, that's why the last place that turned in their ballots in the Kennedy election, all right, was in Cook County under the Daley administration. So Chicago has some serious wheels that make things move worldwide. So that's why Kanye, Brother Ye, is getting all of this rhythm, because it's a lot from the city that people don't realize. But every major corporation has some type of impact because they know the Midwest is that connection to both coasts. But if you're from Chicago, you can't get off unless you leave Chicago and go east or west. And then you may or you may not come back home. And half of us don't want to come back home because it's so damn violent. You know me? So when we talk about our young rappers who go off, our young entertainers who go off, now when you come back home, you got to deal with the madness that is Chicago, because it's been tapered. It's been manufactured to be a crab in a barrel mentality. But that's something that we control to change. And that's the part that I was saying, brothers, in 1991, when we won our first championship, nobody's more beloved in this city than we are as champions to this day, other than maybe the 1985 Bears. And most of them brothers ain't really around the city no more. So I'm asking y'all, I'm gonna need y'all to help me make an impact, not only here in Chicago, but where y'all at. Because where we're at, it's the same situation. I don't care where you find us, in Brixton, over in London, in Rwanda. We the same people, and we're facing the same issues. And that's what I was telling my sons the other night, is that the one thing that we possess in America that don't nobody else possess is we possess the skills necessary to change the condition of everybody else in the rest of the world, both physically, from what we gift as what we do physically, as well as what we do mentally. And our models are carried worldwide. That's why when this financial collapse happens, it can only happen to the point of where we can't destroy these models that y'all put out.
Right. So for somebody go ahead.
You're really quick, because I do have a question when you brought up MJ, Barack, and Oprah. Outside of feeling like we've been lied to, I just have a really important question for you, because when I'm doing the research on your career, the things that you've been through, you start to get angry, you start to get sad. It's a bunch of emotions that you go through because you feel lied to. So how do people that are watching this interview right now not become sheep or stop being sheep? Because everywhere you go, you see the narrative that the media wants to push on you and that the higher ups want to push on you. So what would you say is the first goal to being like, I'm stepping out of this zone and I'm taking back ownership of my life, essentially?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I think COVID did was COVID gave people a chance to just chill for a second and really take a close look at, think how many divorces came out of it just on that level, that even people living in the same house didn't really know each other. And it's going to make you take more of a critical look at not only where you're coming from, but where you're going. And I think that's one of the biggest parts for us and looking at my young folks, that when I was 17, when y'all was 17, y'all had a vision, y'all had goals, that it was things that were set in your mind that nobody else might know about. Now, when I look at this generation, I'm looking in their eyes and I'm not seeing what I saw in that generation with my son, and we was thinking about, yeah, man, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. This generation is so about trying to get the bread and not understanding that the energy is connected to that. The amount of energy that you're going to put into ganking somebody, jacking somebody, that same amount of energy could be put into something else that's going to be positive and bring out that same outcome that you wanted on a positive level. So I think one of the biggest things, man, is us realizing that, where do we want to go? What are my chances of getting there? And the exposure part, brother, is that so many of our young folks aren't exposed to things that are out there for them that are good and opportunities. And how do we get that exposure? Through the madness of mass. That when I was at Long Beach State, it gassed me. I never took the class, but the class called mass media. And it gassed me that, damn, they actually got something called mass media. And then when I grew into sport and into the professional realm, I said, damn, that's so, I got to give them credit. I got to give credit to the structure that has been put in place, knowing that, man, it's wickedly wise, but it's organized. and we can learn from that organization. So I would ask young people, wherever you are, even if it's just you and your 4 homeboys, organize a young business plan, organize a young community service. If it's nothing but, you know what, we're going to go to the grocery store every Saturday and help all the seniors get their stuff to the car. You know what I'm saying? That we don't know how much that's going to help and how much someone's going to see that and may help you create a business from that. That we have to be able to see the entrepreneurship that's right around us on our local level, as well as those of us who are in a position to be mentors. Man, we got to do that, man. And because right now, young folks need to see people like yourselves doing things that ain't out of realm, man. You know, when I look at, you know, how much is put on us as you got to be this, you got to be that, you got to do this. And in order to be successful at that, you have to make $1 million a year. And then you say, damn, I'm coming from the projects. How's that feasible? How's that possible? Well, I see so-and-so over here, but even if I go jack them, that's only $25, $30. That's not the realm that I want to be in. But then we see a brother roll through in his Benz with some sacks, and that's an opportunity. How can I, you know, it's like when Dr. King came to the brothers and, you know, he came to, you know, the Panthers and the brothers who was organized in the 60s and asked them to put down their weapons. He said he had to back up when they said, how can you ask us to put down the weapons when we bombing the hell out of Vietnam as a government? You know, so violence works somehow. So we have to figure out within us, brothers, that, you know, one of the things that I tell people is this, is that, you know, we have failed to fund our own future. And we got to fund our own future. And I'm not just talking about monetary wise. I'm talking about
spiritually.
I'm talking, man, on all fronts. We have to fund that. We have to be given enough of ourselves that if I got the bread to do it, cool. If I know how to help somebody in the gym, cool. If I know how to help somebody over here in banking, cool. I got to be willing to give of myself and my time for those things that I know that I've been blessed with from the sacrifice of those before me.
Yeah, I think it's obvious. You've clearly been on this path, you know, for decades now. And you mentioned your organization. If one of our followers, or maybe, you know, hopefully a bunch of our followers, get inspired by this, right? They have all of this energy that they don't know where to place, and they don't know how to take the first step. How would they be able? Maybe somebody that's in the Chicago area, right?
Right.
How would they be able to get in touch with you? The best way to, you know, maybe kickstart this thing and start a snowball effect within their own community, and just get the ball rolling that way.
Right. You can go to hodgeonhoops.com, you know, and most of the info is there as far as getting in touch with me, you know, and that's one of the things that I'm building right now, brother, so that I can come back in about a month or so and have the website and everything for you, because one of the things that we have to do is bring manufacturing back to our community. In 1978, when I graduated from high school, you could go into classified ads in Chicago and find over 1,500 jobs for people who could go into a warehouse and get on a sewing machine and sew clothing. And that was 1978. All of those jobs have been shipped overseas. Okay. So now with this supply chain tie-up, with the problem with China, with the problem with Asia, that's where all our goods are coming from. So now we have to start, even on a micro scale, producing for ourselves. So the gear that we're producing for Operation Unite, that we call an Operation Unite wear, we're gonna manufacture that here, sell it to our people the same way Nike comes to us, and see what we can do from creating an economic engine, from being able to put people to work with valuable work that can change communities, not just something that you can wear and say you flashing or whatever.
Yeah, man, this China topic is heavy. I kind of want to get into that. Shaq, do you want to get into that?
Did y'all see what happened in the last day of the conference over there?
No, I did not.
So Xi Jinping is sitting there. The guy that he just came, who was before him, Hu Jintao, is sitting next to him. And all of their job is like on clockwork. It don't, you know, it ain't no, man, what is this? Man, they come over and they tap Hu Jintao, who's sitting next to Xi Jinping, and tell him, yo, you got to go. And he's sitting there and not wanting to leave. So symbolically, there are so many things that are going on that we may see it, but we got to be able to have been astute to it to see what's going on behind it, to try to connect the dots.
I think there's a lot of people that are privy, maybe not, know the minutia and, really like the details of everything, because that is a whole nother country. That's a whole nother culture. That's, and how the inner workings work between, the two different governments and the two different cultures. Obviously, there's a huge Chinese population here as well. I think, for the most part, it's been a harmonious, existence.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, on a commercial level, like with the NBA, for example, right? The Chinese market is huge for the NBA, right? When you see guys like LeBron, for example, right, who is very outspoken when it comes to political activism or just activism in general, right? He has a lot of haters as well, though, right? And so the haters, when it comes to those types of things, they often point out, okay, he's only quote unquote, and I'm not accusing him of that. I'm just saying they are saying that he only points out things that are also beneficial to him financially, not just him, but also the league. And so what's your opinion on the, perceived hypocrisy of the NBA and LeBron, I suppose, not speaking on topics that are financially tied to them?
Yeah, it's once again, man, it's what's your price? What's your price? Simple. What's your price? What's your price to say, you know what? Later for human rights. What's your price? You feel me? What's your price? It ain't just LeBron. It go back, brother. Yeah. Oprah, the three I named. Do they really care about human rights? On the real. What do the NBA really care? Do LeBron? I don't know. I know the brother from afar. I appreciate he let me be on Shut Up and Dribble. I get it. But I also get, this is what I'm going to say. I'm put it like this. There's a line that we have come up to. And it's always like this. We get to that line. And then what's on the other side of that? Who's on the other side of that? That's as far as you're going to go. I'm going to stop right here because why you stopping? What? Whoa. You was on fire. Oh, now they pour water on. Well, who poured water on it? Why? What is the ramifications of standing on truth? What are the ramifications on seeing the truth? Don't need to be verified by nobody. It's rooted. You scared of what? Generations. I understand and see at the level of wealth that y'all have, y'all can have that security curtain around you. So I don't see that stopping you from speaking. I see choices.
Yeah.
You feel me? I see choices. I see these choices among me as my people and me being, see this here. Check this out. 1992, I was an unrestricted free agent, brother. All right. I was getting ready to make more money than I was getting ready to make generational wealth when my son was going to have to hoop nowhere. All right. Follow me. Now, I go to the White House on October 1st, 1991, get a presidential letter. I'm still the best shooter on the planet. I done won 2 consecutive 3-point titles at that point in time. I go and win another one and then win another world championship. Ain't nobody ever did in the game what I did. And I wasn't paid for it. I wasn't paid for it because the position that I took for the next 5 years, I led the Chicago Summer League in scoring, man, and not had a team to play for. So I was giving Tim Hardaway them 35s. You feel me? So it wasn't like my game was like y'all want to say my game was, because you have the media to be able to say, you know what, Craig don't play defense. Yeah, my teammates will tell you half the guys in the league don't play defense. We play under a defensive scheme.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me? So this narrative that you can take and you can make, I get it, but I also get they know who to pay. They know to pay. And I'm saying, okay, we go into the bubble. And I'm saying we because this is why I say we. Y'all told me when I came in the league, this is a fraternity of brotherhood that don't ever change. So I'm with y'all in the bubble. Kyrie say we shouldn't even go down there. He says this within the context of an executive NBA meeting. I've been a player rep. Those meetings are confidential. None comes out of it unless we write down what's coming up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
How do they know what's said? Who was the fly on the wall? Like y'all brothers say, who's a snitch? And why? And then it becomes a thing where, okay, now once again, we get that divide and conquer.
Yeah.
We get the brothers on this side. And then this is the wild part for me. As sitting back, I'm sitting in the crib watching all of this go down. Me saying, don't go down there. For what? We being murdered. We don't know what's going on, where this thing has come from. I know that the whole shutdown started with basketball. You follow me? With Utah.
Yeah.
Cut you down. Basketball. But sport don't mean shit. You feel me? But it started with basketball. I told the brothers, I said, the only way it's going to open is when y'all go back to work. And if y'all don't go back to work and make people think about our condition before you go back to work, go play. But before y'all go play, let people know about what's happening with George Floyd. That's what the vibration was at that moment.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I think I look at it, I guess I don't want to call it like a modern mindset, because I think once you designate it as that, you automatically kind of like ruffle the feathers of people, because they're looking at it like, oh, if it's not me, it's against me. You know what I mean? So I don't want to make it seem like, this is an old way of thinking, and I'm, more on the newer way of thinking, especially because I'm at the age now where I think I'm right in the middle between the young guys and the old guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I come from that old school as well, but I identify a lot with that younger generation.
No, as you should.
Right. And so like my thing is this, to bring it back to LeBron and what he speaks on and what he doesn't speak on. I personally don't need him to speak on things that he doesn't want to speak on. I think as long as he's active, he's active. I think what we have is it's war basically, and we are fighting battles all around us, right? There's a bunch of burning fires, and we have to have ample soldiers to run at the fires with a bucket of water to put the blaze out, right? Mm-hmm. And so if one person has a bucket of water and they, tend to that fire, we need to have another one that, puts the blaze out on the opposite end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. But what my biggest issue is that what ends up happening is, oh, hey, brother, why you not helping me? You know what I mean? Focusing on this issue, because this is more important. What you're doing is wasting time, and you're taking away momentum. You're taking away focus. You know what I mean? And you lead.
One of the things that I like about Ye is I feel like in his spirit he wants us to be tight. All right, that he wants to see us our rise as a family on the real. I really feel that. Now, when we study other nations of peoples, all right, that what you said is totally correct, brother, that putting out these fires, all right? But there's an economic base for that in other nations, all right? That's what Kanye was saying to the Jewish people. Y'all got that within your ranks. Now, we have that within our ranks, but it's not organized. It's not organized. We're making more money as a nation of people in America than probably the 7th or 8th richest nation on the face of the earth.
Talking about the Black community.
Yes, but it doesn't circulate within us. It don't circulate within us. So we have to, LeBron, Kanye, Diddy, put together that Black national bank that's in every city. You feel me? That we can put our deposits in and we can start to get loans and land and build from. And those are the types of things that in 90, that's what I was asking Magic and MJ about. You feel me? That's what I was asking Oprah about. That those are things that are right there in front of us. You can't tell me that we are not qualified in all those areas that you speak of where those fires are burning, whether it be education, medicine, psychology, whatever it be. We have experts there. But Those experts are under contract with the heretofore enemy, whether it be MIT, whether it be Harvard, whether it be University of Chicago, Stanford, those think tanks that drain Black thought, and now that Black thought becomes repackaged and given to us as critical race.
You're talking about right. You're talking about revolutionaries versus reactionaries, right?
And see, you know the wild part. This is the wild part. It's certain terms that's going to just tear the world apart, and that term revolutionary is one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's one of them terms that when we're trying to galvanize people, when somebody comes to the table as a revolutionary, they ain't gonna be able to talk to that Baptist preacher. That sister that's been going to, she ain't that, and it's a revolutionary concept. Jesus was a revolutionary.
Yeah,
you feel me? But we're not dealing with that part of him because that revolution that he was speaking of was against the very people who teaching us religion.
Oh yeah, so you're talking about now. I think what the outside world is able to like package the Black movement and the community and the direction, but I think even internally there's issues there. Because,
absolutely.
Like,
hey man, let me just say this, not to cut you off, brother. We're the craziest people on earth. We're the craziest people on earth. Literally.
I mean, this is what I'm trying to get into. Maybe I'm trying to get into this. The generational trauma, because when you're talking about galvanizing the troops and like pulling resources together and everything like that, when we're talking about putting out blazes, right? We've seen, and maybe just subconsciously, stuff that our parents gave us because their grandparents gave it to them, stuff that is deep seated and deep rooted within us that we don't know. But what I'm referencing is Black Wall Street. We've seen our community put resources together, and we see ourselves flourish, and we saw actual fires come out of that.
That's right.
Meaning, it got bombed to hell out of existence, and now we're still in shambles. You know what I'm saying? So, do you think that plays? And if it does, how much of a part does that play in somebody like you mentioned, Oprah, MJ, LeBron coming together, Kanye coming together with the money and be like, look, man, this is what we're doing. We're starting with the banking system, and we just, we moving over to funding the schools, have our own programs. Like how much of that do you think is inhibited, subconsciously?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear of losing status, fear of losing wealth, fear of losing privilege. Now, my position is this, that in looking at this whole thing, all right, knowing the oppression that has happened, studied it, looked at it, all of that, no nation on earth is going to give us what we are due. No nation, all right? So within these nation states, I look at the talent resources that are coming out of it on the human level and how cold it is all over the globe. All over the globe. When you look at us, we some cold people all over earth. Now, the connection between us and the mineral resources underfoot is getting ready to happen. All right. So now I just say we better get ourselves together to be prepared for the divine inheritance that we're getting ready to get, because it's coming. All you have to do is if you look at what's going on, you can start to see why Russia took those 4 areas of Ukraine that has the most resources and the most, rare earth minerals. And then you stop and you look at why Joe Biden, who was the main person that put Zimbabwe under sanctions so we can't get our minerals from under our feet. And we look at this whole game that's been played. Now we come back to us, though. Come back to us in America. We the most critical point in all of this thing, brother, in that we are the spiritual life of the entire planet, whether we know it or not, because our suffering has gave us that opportunity to show the world what's needed to get it right. Now, we've been miseducated on every level. Everybody would say we've been lied to. We can all agree we've been lied to. The biggest lie that they told us that who's the Christ? Who's the Christ? It's Black women. All right, it's sisters. All right, we're the unified body. We are the ones that got to do the brute strength, but the Godhead is the sisters. All right, right now, and the world know it, and the world gonna see it. So the biggest part that we have to do is say, okay, how do I make sure that I'm doing what I can to make sure that this next generation is organized to be able to have the funding necessary to be able to do what is in their God-given potential, not in this old false narrative of things that you put in front of me. You put in front of me that this is how I get there. And then I'm sophisticated enough as a young brother sitting in Cabrini Greens and saying, okay, you telling me, if I get $1 million, I'm good. And I'm saying that, damn, I can get this $1 million by going over here doing this because I seen another brother that did it. Now, they ain't thinking whether it's good or bad. They're just thinking about getting that bread. They're getting that bread. Now, how do we as men say the bread is cool, but it's another way to go about it and a longevity to it? The longevity is the point that I'm making, that we don't have that long-term vision. Even us who are some of the greatest athletes, like MJ, dig this. MJ is getting ready to sign a deal, and I want to say this is like 89-90 with Nike. Okay, we in the hallway talking about this. He getting ready. They got a big ass cake for him. All this. I'm like, what this deal is? 40 million down, 250 for life. Okay. When he said to life, to me, it went to penitentiary shit. I'm thinking you got a life sentence as white people. That was, I thought, in my mind. Because I'm saying to this brother at that time, every city in America will give you a factory for $1. All the rubber comes from black people in Africa and Brazil. We can get the means of production in as far as the machinery from Asia. We can build these plants right here in America and do the same thing that they're doing over there. You know what he asked me? You know what he said to me? Who gonna remember me in 10 years? Now that's who y'all know is Air Jordan. That's what he told me personally. What
year was this?
This is like 89-90, before he was his airness. All right? To let you know that you ain't saying.
What did he mean by that?
He meant this. We don't know, like we say, when we hooping, we don't know how far this is gonna take us, man. You know what I'm saying? I could be injured tomorrow, and this whole thing be. He had a great potential. Don't nobody know. He didn't know he was gonna go to get all them commercials, all them endorsements. You don't know. So you live in moment to moment, and you know us as athletes, we might feel like we're invincible 23, 24, but we didn't see the cat that's 34, 35 that's on my team and seeing that, yeah, my day is coming, so I better get as much as I can right now, not having a vision of saying like, man, it's something that we can build that's going to give me something to come back to after this is over. That's going to still be as important to me, as exciting for me to work on. And it's not a thing that I retired from basketball and I'm just gone. And I think that's one of the things where I feel like the Players Association can do a better job at having more brothers who are not in the league, back in league. So as opposed to Kevin Garnett and Allen Iverson having to do betting commercials, why they ain't in somebody's training facility? You feel me, man? Why they ain't somebody's community rep? Because how palatable are you to that notion of being able to sit with the season ticket holders who may want you to come and talk to their corporate guys in their suits and ties, and you ain't feeling like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's
I guess I see your point for sure, but I guess not to say that we don't know that they don't also do that. It may be not, or maybe just not on the radar as much for reasons that you mentioned, right? If you are, too outspoken and too, in favor of, one side that goes against, what.
No, not to cut you off, brother. You know what's so cool for me, and that's why I know that it's possible, is that in 1968, man, 1968. I'm playing on the school ground in Chicago Heights. Dr. King is murdered. All right. Mm-hmm. Everybody that was black in America was on the same page. Same page. Same page. Heartbeat. Breathing. That Zen stuff that we was doing I felt that as a baby, man. I felt that. Now,
yeah. Talk about that. Talk about the impact, like, because obviously, somebody like us, we're talking about the here and now, the people that live, and so we know Dr. King as this historical figure, but in terms of like the community, you mentioned like heartbeat,
let me tell you, man.
Yeah.
Look here, bro. Okay. See, and that's why I tell people, I know it's possible. All right. I know it's possible, but it's not possible without live people in place who are moving our people in a direction that is where they want to go, i.e. leaders. I don't use that term because now we are setting ourselves up for that same pew, pew. You feel me? When they shot Dr. King, my mama's fro was bigger than Angela Davis, man. But the fear that put in my mama, that when I was talking the way I was talking, going to Bush, how scared my mama was for me. And then I tell my mama, yo, why you scared? But you taught me this. But she saw the murders of Dr. King, Malcolm, Mark Clark, and Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton in Chicago.
But I saw when I woke up in the morning on Channel 9 TV, hundreds of rounds and blood. That's what you put on the minds of an 8-9-year-old brother. Do you follow me? So what I'm telling y'all is that was the height of Black love. Black love. Palpable. Not no. See, and that's why where we are now, people talk love, and I say that's like a fingerprint. What do it mean to you? What do it mean to you? When I grew up, I knew what it was. I knew what it was because I knew we had to be back across the tracks from out of white area by 6 o'clock. So that means they didn't love me. But now we love this togetherness, kumbaya moment, integration. But do you love me? How could you love me? Ain't no way you could love me and not have enough baby food in America. Not love your seniors to the point where you bring them in as mentors as opposed to putting them out of pasture or put them in a graveyard, even better.
Or have them out on the street. There's a lot of seniors homeless right now. Homelessness is rampant.
Come on, you got people who are PhDs who are greeters at Walmart, brother, who could be teaching our babies how to be PhDs. But it's not palpable. It's not palpable, and it's not commercial enough for what their bottom line is about. And the bottom line is about, see, and this is the part, man, that it's always been about who you are. All right. I'm gonna send y'all brothers if y'all haven't seen it already. Y'all ever heard of that billionaire named Peter Nygaard?
Mm-hmm. When
y'all get the chance, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna send it to you, Shaquille. Man, they got Peter Nygaard. He's a billionaire. He's sitting with this group of sisters. And you know what he's asking these sisters? He's asking them to buy their eggs, to buy their placentas, and to buy their menstrual blood. Do you follow me? So this thing is a lot heavier than where so many of us think it is. It's actually your actual makeup is critical more. And that's the thing that we got to get to our young folks, that your life is so important, more than you even know. You priceless. You priceless. You priceless. That's why the sister back in the day, I can't even call her name, they took her blood and our blood is all over the world because her makeup cures cancer. You follow me? So when you think about all of those, the Pope got shot when he was damn near 80. Reagan got shot when he was damn near 80. And all of them healed. You could do
the
that.
chat is saying Henrietta Lacks. I actually seen that video.
You follow me, brother? And now it's this is where, and that's why I'm saying, this is the realm of the discussion, brother. We talking about player's choice, man. It's a choice of topics. It's a choice of topics. Like you said, there's so many fires going on, and the fires is not just among us. The fire is that when we talk about global banking, okay, that's where the fire is, man. It ain't, this thing ain't about black and white and red and brown and yellow. This thing is about who controls the wealth of the planet and the resources. That's what it's been about. That's why right now, this whole geopolitical play for me is like I'm telling y'all, I got a big ass bucket of popcorn and caramel corn watching this shit because we see what's happening. We see what's happening. It's coming back to the ancient people. All right. China and Africa have always gotten down. You know, you can go to China and see black people. We was there. We was in Russia. We done been there. Alexander Pushkin. You feel me? Genghis Khan. Them us. Who y'all faking? Y'all can't fake nobody. The fake is over. Now, this is what's getting ready to happen, brothers. Whether we know it or not. Everybody on the planet is getting ready to start to get this information, whether they want it or not. You follow me? Because we've been at war for the last 2 years. All right? We've been at war. So this whole thing with Ukraine, it just hasn't been that type of war with bombs and all of that here. But ours is economic. Okay? The economic war that was the dollar. The dollar was able to be weaponized against brown and dark people on the planet. Russia, China, Brazil, India, the BRICS nations got together and said, we're not going to have that no more. To our help. You feel me? So a lot of what's going on the planet could have been helped and stopped by NATO and the Western nations, UN. You follow me? But it's all connected, man. And that's why I say, so this basketball thing, for me, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I know y'all got over on Hodge for about 50, 60 mil. That's cool. But I understand too, the position that I've taken and the position where I am now is going to allow us to do a lot more than I could have did with 50 million. You follow me? Because this is the largest transfers of wealth that's going on right now, and it's coming to us, whether we don't deserve it, because our ancestors stood on courage, man. So when we talk about our athletes and different people, and I don't expect everybody to be able to speak specifically to certain areas of knowledge that they haven't studied, but there should be a certain spiritual background, because like I said, in the 60s, that's the thing that was so cool, man. I don't care who you were, whether you were Harry Belafonte, whether you were Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory is making more money than any entertainer in the world. You all know that? In 1969, okay? So he's making down there $1 million, and he's sending truckloads of food to Mississippi. But it's known that he's doing this. And that's the part where I say, you know, we'll do what we do but our people need to see a visible model, man. So these young brothers who are becoming athletes, and these young sisters who are becoming entertainers, and these doctors and these lawyers need to see that there's nothing wrong with me having a connection to where I came from and being able to say, you know what, I'm gonna take 10% of my wealth and give it back to where I came from, as opposed to having agents who tell me this is how I'm going to hide your wealth. And as I hide your wealth and put your wealth in the shell companies that don't affect my people except on a negative side of the board, that's what I'm opposed to, man.
I just want to get back in, you know, because we've been going for an hour, and there's a bunch of questions that I wanted to ask.
Whenever you back, man. Whenever y'all want me to come back, brother.
Got you. I just want to speak on, and we for sure will, because I feel like this is very knowledgeable and insightful. I would just want to speak on to kind of go back to just two things. The letter that you wrote, George Bush Sr., and really how many times that you tried to get through to MJ, and just the reception or the perception, because I'm trying to figure out what was the moment that I guess the biggest moment in the league where you felt like this is blatant disassociation with you and what's going on. Like, what was that moment for you? Was it because you were trying to lobby MJ to do these things? Was he telling people?
See, one of the things, man, is it's you have speculation. Where I can speculate why I didn't get another contract and that kind of thing. But there are certain points where I don't have to speculate on. All right. So we're in the game. We're in the series against Cleveland when MJ hit the shot. All right. I'm in the back. I'm starting in the backcourt with you. I averaged 16 during the playoffs. You averaged 26 or whatever. I was second leading scorer in the playoffs. All right. That summer, There's a change in coach. Phil takes over. During that same summer, you say you'd rather play with Pax in the backcourt. Why you want to play with Pax? But I get it. I get it because I'm not going to defer. We hooping. So if opportunities come and the way Doug rolled was like this. If you scored, say you I come off a single double and I hit my J. The next 2 trips, we running that same play till they stop it. So if I score, I got the next 2 trips. So MJ get on a roll where he hit back-to-back, that means you got 4 trips. But people from the outside saying, oh, he greedy. No, this is the system. You score, we're going to run it until you can't stop it or you stop it. Now, I'm hooping with you. We come to Phil. Phil brings in Tex Winter. Tex is already one of our assistants, but he allows Tex to put in triangle. I had triangle for 4 years at Long Beach State, so that's me and Tex is implementing the system to them. Now I'm basically teaching John Paxson how to run triangle, and you starting. All right, I ain't tripping because I want to win, but I know when I get in, I'm gonna do my thing. So we get to All-Star Weekend. I'm shooting probably almost 50%, almost 49, 50% from 3-point land, and go to All-Star Weekend. Get to All-Star Weekend. I think that might have been my second one in a row. And Phil comes to me, Craig, I got to get you back in the lineup. You telling me like I have some clout in getting me back in the lineup. You're the head coach. Why aren't I in the lineup? Ain't nobody in the league right now shooting the way I'm shooting the ball up to All-Star Weekend. All right? Nobody can even argue with that. Pax comes to me. Yeah, Hodge, you should be in the lineup. Brother, do what you got to do, man. Play. You feel me? So it was certain things that I understood that was going on, but I'm Hodge. I'm not a bitch about this thing that's this game. I play my role. I was taught to play. If my role is, I done played every role on every team I never played on. So understanding what it's going to take to win was what I was about. So there were times when I understood that there was a certain, I ain't gonna even say jealousy, but realization from MJ that I was homeborn. You feel me? And me being homebred, I watched the Bulls struggle as a baby. You follow me? So now when I'm homebred, my people love when I hit a 3. My people love when I throw you a lob. My people love the fact that Hodge is on the squad. So if I'm putting up numbers, it's going to be a certain amount of light given. And if anybody understands, and if you don't know, you should have garnered it from The Last Dance, that it is about Michael Jordan. It's about winning, but winning was secondary to imagery. All right. We built the image of his airness. All right. Now his airness says shit. That don't mean nothing if I ain't got no rings. If I ain't got no rings, because rings give me that measure to say that I'm the best. And y'all on the competitive level, man, that brother don't want to lose at nothing. And I don't, and ain't no mad in that. I loved the fact of being able to go to war with him, to being able to compete with him every day. But the choices that you make where my people are concerned is where I have an issue with, especially in the city of Chicago, where when on the economic footing, we buy everything you put out in this city, and we have. And other cities were able to Jones off of that. So when he retired and went to baseball, he put out I think he put out 1 million jerseys in the city of Chicago, and that it was gone. You follow me? And it's baseball jive. So it's the fundamentals of economics on a lot of levels, but on so many levels, it's deception when it comes to the consumerism, when it comes to us purchasing and not getting that same type of feedback when we're in need of resources and just help.
So, because, I mean, it's a lot to unpack there. Mm-hmm. But when you bring up his competitiveness, mm-hmm. and you brought up Kobe in the beginning, mm-hmm. just because we do have a lot of Kobe heads in here and MJ heads and LeBron heads, but How do you compare and contrast those two as far as basketball players?
Man, it's almost like MJ is one side of the coin and Kobe's the other side. You feel me? So when you flip it, when
Same
it
Kobe
coin.
wanted to be so much
man,
like MJ.
it was incredible, brother. I'm telling you, when I got to the Lakers and to actually watch the brother, it was like I was watching Michael. I mean, it was literally like, I mean, the inflections, and it was like you didn't studied it, obviously. And I was like, that was wild to me. But the thing that I liked, Kobe tried to bring people along, man, in a way where he was tough on some people, but like Sasha Vujacic, that was his whipping boy, okay? But he loved Sasha, and he knew what Sasha was capable of. But Sasha would get tight at times, and Kobe would smack him upside the back of his head, man, loosen up. And I could get with that. But at the same time, if you outside and you just walked in the gym and you seeing Kobe slap somebody upside the head, you're gonna say, yo, what's up with that? But it's the realization that he told me this. He said, hi, check this out, man. He said, I don't expect everybody to be Kobe great, but if I can get LO to be LO great, Powell to be Powell great, Andrew to be Andrew great, and I do my thing, ain't nobody gonna beat us. And that's the part where MJ would have kept that in his vest. And even to the degree where he understood how important Scotty was, but he also understood that if I give Scotty a little bit more, Scotty's 6'7", that with wingspan about 6'10", doing the same things that I'm doing, it might be a problem with this comparison thing, you know. But he knew that wasn't no way he could have got what he got without Pip. No way. We couldn't have gotten none of that would have been possible without Bill Cartwright.
Right.
No, none of it.
So you mentioned Kobe maybe being a little bit rough. You know, you said that Sasha Vujacic was his whipping boy. What do you make of the Draymond situation with Jordan Poole?
Money. Draymond was to me just from the outside, and I saw the actual confrontation, and then I started studying the little articles around it and seeing both of them were free agents or getting ready to get paid or whatever. And hey, you know, the young cat Poole is a scorer. Draymond, you're an intangible. You're intangible. We know that you're gonna do something to keep us. You can do a lot of things, but what you can do, we can get somebody else to do. What that boy does is a little bit more skilled. You know,
That's interesting because I mean, in my humble opinion, I think I'm on the other side of the argument. I think something intangible, and to the degree that Draymond provides it, right, that is harder to find than scoring.
But this is the thing. And I tell people this all the time. Once you know how to win, you can start to plug people in, man. You know, and that watch, it's somebody that's been sitting over there. I don't know who they got on that over there sitting, but it's somebody been sitting there who's been going against Draymond every day and showing some light, but can't get no really reps on in game situation, that they've been sitting there chomping at the bit. And now they're going to get a chance. And watch, they're going to get a chance. And Steve, and this is the cool part, is Steve is a triangle cat. He understands systematics, that this thing is systematically run now. Steve has to do very little coaching except for in those crunch situations where we might need a specialty play. We might need to come up with a little wrinkle or something. But for the most part, this thing is on, man, throw the ball up. Let's see how it roll out tonight. You feel me? And however it roll out tonight, we know that Steph, Clay, Jordan, and Looney are going to be able to get some things. And see, I think that Looney's might open up a little bit more with Draymond not being there. You feel me? Because I think he has some skill. And see, that's the thing with him. Like he came in just doing rebounding but as a player, you can expand and your skill level can become a little bit more where you can start to show a little bit more. And how much do they need? You know, if Draymond ain't on the court, where do we really need to shore up what he did, as opposed to shoring up what Wiggins or Clay and now them some shoring areas where we gonna have to shore some shit up. But with him, I feel like his was more. He was the enforcer cat. He's the cat that's gonna talk to smack talk on the other side. He's that Rodman character type and I think that's a lot of his stuff too, man. Was a lot of his stuff was hype too, man. That I like some of the stuff you do, but some of the stuff I'm like, brother, come on, man, just hoop. Don't get caught into the histrionics and the theatrics of it.
As a player who played with MJ,
MJ played with me, man. MJ played with me. Let them.
I know that's right.
there you go. What do you think of LeBron's legacy compared to MJ's? With everybody going back and forth on this debate about was it harder for Bron? He's going up against super teams, but you guys were also going up against good teams as well.
The biggest thing I think is MJ 6 wins, six. You get there, you win it. You ain't never lost. You the MVP. Come on, man. You are what you are. That's a whole nother. So when people try to compare, to me, the winningest is Bill. Lay Bill Russell, brother, to me, that he taught everybody how to win. Now, he only played against 8 teams. Okay, but look at the people that he played against. He played against Wilt, he played against Bellamy's, he played against some tough cats that I would say, let's bring in a couple of them cats and let them face Joel Embiid and see if you can go down there and have to deal with having to go down there. But LeBron has taken the mantra. And to me, it's almost a combination of Dr. J, MJ, and a Wesley Unseld type body. You know what I'm saying? And being able to, almost like somebody said and just sculpted the perfect, basketball type player. But at the same time, I feel like it's certain things that have lacked to me in the leadership from what I've seen in his game, to where, you got somebody like Russell Westbrook. To me, it's time for you to go to the block and let's see what type of havoc you can do from down there and do your thing and let Russell dribble around for a little while. It's going to be, and when I saw it, put it together, I said, that's going to be hard because they both have to have the ball. Both of them, literally, when they get the ball, it's almost going to be a stop situation. It's not going to be a thing where job is fluid. And likewise, man, that's hard as a shooter to play out of when there's so many audibles almost to read that you don't.
Well, they ain't got no shooters, so they good on that.
That's the thing. I called after that first game. I called off the Lakers office to say, yo, man, let me help. I know I can help somebody. And even if, like with Russell, my thing is that he is such an explosive player, but so much of his game is so emotional, man. And that's the part where I'm like, sometimes he just take the game too personal. But I can't say nothing about that energy and effort, man. I don't know how many players have been in the league that have played harder than he does. Now, you might not always get a plus sign out of what comes out of it, but it's not because he ain't going at it.
I agree. I mean, I know we pushing an hour and 20, and I want to get you back on here, so I don't want to keep going over the time that we requested. So we for sure gonna have you back. I would love a part 2.
I got my documentary about ready to come out, and I'll make sure that when it get ready to come out, I'll give you guys we'll do a trailer or something to it, and then we can go into it and talk about it and get on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
We would love that.
Plug whatever you got going on. You said the documentary. I know you have a book that
Yeah.
published in 2017, and make mention of your organization once more for
Yeah.
people who want to get in touch and read up on you, and just get a little bit more familiar with you as a player and the man in general.
Yeah, like I said, you can go to Instagram, the real Craig Hodges. That's the Instagram handle. Other than that, man, that's about my only social media platform at the moment. But I wrote my book in 2017, Long Shot: The Struggles and Triumphs of the NBA Freedom Fighter. We shot the documentary 2020. So it's just some, taking time to come out, man. And I tell them, I say, take your time, man. It took MJ 20 years to bring that out. Look what he did. So we got time. We good.
Right.
But yeah, man, I
sure.
appreciate you brothers for having me, man. And once again, man, y'all keep up this medium, man, because it's needed to be able to bring a platform that and like you say, y'all that tied to the young school, man. So let's keep it up.
Yeah. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your time. And that's what we're trying to do. We don't just try to bring basketball barbershop kind of debates. We have obviously some pros on the team as well, that can dig into and dive into the game a little bit deeper for the people who are super into basketball. But we also want to bring value and add value to people who are part of the culture that have interest outside of just, the 94 feet. So definitely appreciate you for, allowing us to tap into that.
Man, when you just said 94 feet, man, I'm rubbing my knee like, man. Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all, brothers, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care.
We out.
All right.
All right now.